Hello everyone and welcome back. So now we can actually toggle a to-do, we can delete a to-do, and I guess we're missing a way to add a new to-do, right? So that's exactly what we're going to be doing on this video. And in order to do that, we're going to make use of our to-dos create recipe. And as you can see, you need to provide a text and whether that to-do is done or not. So we're going to default to false and we're only going to be sending a text, right? So let's set up what we need in order to achieve this, right? And what I want to do first of all is I'm going to go to index, and right now we only have a to-do list. And what I want to do is I'm going to add a new React fragment in here because we're going to be creating a new component, right? We're going to be creating a add to do. So what I want to do is after adding a fragment, then I'm going to go into my components and I'm going to add a new component, which is going to be called add todo.js. And I'm going to go RFC to create a new functional component. All right. And I'm going to be adding that in here into my index.js. So I'm going to bring that from components. So to-dos list. So it's going to be add to do. And let's make sure to render that as well. So this is going to be add to do. Cool, so now we have our list and our new add to do component. Awesome. So before we actually get into the logic of the component, let's first go into the API and create our new API. All right. So let's go into our API, and I think we can pretty much reuse any of the cases that we have for deleting or updating. So in this case, what we need to send, because we're creating a new object, right? We're creating a new to do. We need to actually set the whole object, the whole payload that we need for the recipe, right? Because if you remember, you need to actually provide what you're creating, because Buildable will add the ID, right? Because in the end, because it uses MongoDB, MongoDB will set the ID for you. So, right, we just need to worry about sending a text. So instead of sending a to-do, what I'm going to be sending here is the text. And actually, we're going to default done, which is another property of the to-dos, to false, because really doesn't make sense to create a to-do which is completed, right? So let's grab the URL for our recipe and let's replace that here. And we should consider refactor this a bit later on. Cool. So now we have, let's rename this to actually create to-do. So now we have a new function inside of our API, which sends in a text and a done property. Cool. So let's go into our hooks and we'll pretty much reuse the same structure, and we'll create a new hook, which is use create to do. And we will get our create to do method, create to do from API. All right. And we're going to add that into the callback. And we're gonna grab the new to do, which we have just created, and we're gonna invalidate the queries on that new to do that we have already created. All right, awesome, looking good. So the next thing that we have to do now that we have our API, our new hook, and we have added a new component, we have to add the logic to the component. So let's go into our components and into our add to do file. And we'll start grabbing things that we need. So we need to import use create to do. This is going to be from hooks from, and we're going to go up one level. I want to go to hooks. Cool. So let's grab mutate, which I'm going to rename to mutate add to do. And we're going to grab is loading. Let's call the hook. And another thing that we're going to need is we're going to need state for this component. So we're going to need the to do text, and we're going to need a new function which is going to be set to do text, and this is going to come from the use state hook that React provides us. All right, so let's make sure to bring that in. So use state from React. Cool. So now we have state inside of our component. Now what we want to do in here is we want to render, actually before we get into the whole form, let's add a new condition on whether if it's loading is loading, then we will return div, which will say something like creating new to do. Cool. All right, so inside of here, what we will do is we'll create a new form. All right, and sorry. So inside of this form, we will add a new button, and let's get rid of the on click because we're gonna have a type submit, right? Because when we click it, we will actually call the on submit event from the form. So let's call this add, and we're gonna create an input, and the input will be of the type text, and we're gonna have a placeholder, which is gonna be your awesome to do here, and we're gonna have a value, which is gonna be the to do text that we have. All right, and another thing that we need to add is we need to add an on change event listener, and from this what we need to get is the event itself, and from the event what we're gonna get is the target dot value, which is the value of the input, and we want to add that to our current to do text. So we're gonna call set current to do text on e dot target dot value. All right, so every time that we update, this is gonna set the new value for the text of our to do. And let's add an on submit, and let's add a new handler as we'll call this handle create new to do. Cool. So let's set up a new function in here, and we'll call this handle create new to do. And from here we actually want to grab the event as well, because we want to prevent default so that it doesn't reload the page when you send the form. All right, and after we're done sending the to do, what I want to do is I want to set the to do text back to being a empty string. So in here we will actually set the logic to send the to do to our recipe. So we'll add mutate add to do, and we will set the new to do text. So this will go into the hook. The hook will go, we'll use the API, and we'll send the new text for the to do. All right, cool, looking good. So I think we're not missing anything. So let's go into our application now and check what we have. So all right, you're awesome to do here. So let's type in test. All right, that should add a new to do. All right, awesome. So let's delete this to do, delete another one. All right, and yeah, another test. All right, looking good. Awesome. So now we can toggle to-dos, we can delete to-dos, and we can add new to-dos. All right. So I think that's pretty much all of the functionalities that you would expect from a simple CRUD. And as you can see, it's pretty simple to set a simple CRUD application with authentication using Buildable, Next, and Next Auth. So yeah, I had a lot of fun making this series, and I really hope you check this out and tell me what you think. And yeah, I'll see you on the next video. Actually, one quick thing that I just realized I missed is that I never returned anything from this condition, which is why I was not seeing the creating new to do. So if you were to create a new to do, right? So you're not displaying creating new to do. So one thing that you need to do when making this is you want to make sure that you actually return something from your condition if you want to render something into the application, right? So make sure that you return creating a new to do. All right, so as you can see, if we add a new test in here, it will say creating a new to do, and after that it will update. All right, so make sure you do that.